people of the way, his children. Something interesting in the fact I went to see the Dead Sea Scrolls exhibit, and it was at the Mormon Temple in Carrollton, Ohio, and I went to see them. Of course, they put their own spin on it. It's a given. When you go to something, every church puts their own spin on it. But it was kind of upsetting because, they had the whole scroll of one chapter of Isaiah 66. It was 24.5 feet long. They had that on display. They had parts of Habakkuk chapter 2, which they call him Habakkuk. Like Habakkuk. Habakkuk. That's what they call him, Habakkuk. Like, it's not Habakkuk, it's Habakkuk. But anyway, they had that on display, just parts of it. And when they had swords, and a sword, an ancient sword, please do not touch it. Of course, I had to touch it. It was a sword, it's... and some pottery and stuff. I just didn't have any of the other books. I wanted to see the original book of Isaiah, the original book of Adam and Eve. The Dead Sea Scrolls I have on my website for the last 5 years. I wanted to see those in person. And they didn't have any of those books. And they only had Isaiah, parts of they had Habakkuk and Isaiah 66. And that was about it. A couple of other ones. They had like 4 different areas of display that you could see. And so, yeah, they didn't have any of the originals, no other books, nothing. And I've had these books on my website at SherryTalkRadio.com for years about, books part of the original Dead Sea Scrolls. You gotta wonder why they're being so anal about it, why they won't just show these books. We know they're going to hide the books that reveal who and expose who Paul was and is, and his excommunication from the church. And naturally, they're going to hide those because they got to keep the Paul religion going. But you think they'd show the other ones? No one's going to be able to read it anyway. Who can read Hebrew? My mom looked at it and she goes, "It's upside down and backwards." And it is. It's almost like you'd have to hold it up, turn it upside down, and hold it up to a mirror. And you might get a semblance of what this language is. But if you've ever seen Hebrew, it's just very backwards. It's just, right to left and backwards. And, I don't know how they learn how to write that. It would be like learning how to write Chinese. Just, to us, it's like impossible. And when a lot of people say English is one of the hardest languages to learn. And I just don't see it. I can't even speak it. I'm still waiting. Maybe it is. I've always said it's not my first language. And so I went there. We were going to the area while I was there. I just spent the whole last week on a road trip to Cleveland. Naturally, a blizzard was waiting for me as soon as I got up there. And 2.5 feet of snow just in one night and day. It was just incredible. It was a blizzard the entire time I was up there. And so I did get some highways outside surrounding Cleveland. I got some areas outside of Cleveland. And not as much as I'd like to, but that's a pretty big job. And I think I did enough to completely tick them off when they start to lay chemtrails again and notice that they're not going to be able to hit some of their favorite areas. So it'll be interesting. Because Cleveland is just a heavily populated city, suburbs surrounding Cleveland. No one necessarily lives inside the city itself. It's just the suburbs outside of it where the bulk of the people are. And they just get pounded and pounded and pounded with chemtrails constantly. 4 or 5 planes just in one area, one suburb. And imagine all the suburbs in the area. Now, the west side of Cleveland, the absolute worst side of Cleveland probably, as far as stomping grounds for the Satanists go, and there's plenty on the east side as well, but you've got the Open Door Christian Church over there in Elyria on the west side, and some other stomping grounds for the Satanists are over there. Have not gotten that area, so we need some west siders of Cleveland to stand up and get that area. Been hearing from people out in Idaho, truckers alleging Idaho was one of the most heavily damaged states by chemtrails. You people out there in Idaho, you need to stand up. I know there's a woman, there's a warrior out there. She's got more energy than 50 of you put together, and she's in her 60s. And she's been out there doing her best to Oregon and Idaho. Now you've got to help her. You got to get together out there. This little woman, she's making a lot of you warriors out there look really bad. And she's doing her part. Now, I don't know if she's gotten Des Moines, and I don't think so, because she has been getting other areas of the state of Iowa. And so a lot of you out there complaining about the chemtrails in Des Moines and the outside areas, you're going to have to get together, let this little woman inspire you, and get out there and do something, or go in that area. I've got the directions on my website. You can go to tearingdownstrongholds.com or OregonBlasters.com or OregonWarriors.com. Look for the Make Your Own link and get together, make your own, do it yourself. She's doing it herself. She's 67 years old. Some of you just have no excuse, and some of you have no idea that the bulk of the Army right now doing all of this Oregon work is older women. Older women, folks. One's in a wheelchair, and she's outworked all of us. She's outworked all of us. And so, it doesn't matter your age. I get kids all the time. I've been hearing from a lot of kids in universities. They don't live there, but they're there for school, so they're getting the universities while they're there. You know what? That's awesome. They're doing something. Where is this whole gaping middle-aged men you're missing somewhere? Because I hear from the older retired men. I hear from the college kids, and that's the worst group. I'm telling you, I love them to death, but they want it yesterday. And I make Oregon by hand, and I don't operate that quickly. I'm just going to hold a woman and give me a couple of days. I love them to death. And they're ready to go to war. They're ready to do something, tear down this New World Order. And this is a gaping hole with the middle-aged men, 30s and 40-year-olds. Where are you? Where are you? I'm hearing from grandpas and grandmas and kids. There's a lot of warriors out there, these middle-aged men that they're not believing. They don't believe. They like to hear and they like to listen, but when it comes down to putting their action where their beliefs are, they have no belief. They don't believe. They don't believe the Oregon is going to do what we say it does. And so whatever. You know what? The last day's Army, 144,000, is going to be one built of kids and older people, senior citizens, I'm telling you. We need a lot of people to step up and step forward. These poor guys, these young 19, 20-year-olds, are going to be led by a bunch of 50 and 60-year-olds. And that's just the way the Lord's armies are. You know what? It's just He wants people who love Him. He wants people who love Him and are willing to go to war for Him and do things for Him and just believe Him. And we do. And we're doing everything we can. Because I've seen in the codes over and over and over again how this is going to destroy Satan's army when it comes to earth. And that's why he has to go to Plan B, Plan C. Because a lot of these giants, a lot of these Goliaths are coming. And this army led by David's granddaughter is going to destroy all of them. And, I get a big laugh out of that. We're doing it again. We're going to knock the Goliaths down. We're killing off the Goliaths. And that's why I always can't say a whole lot, because when I tell the Lord's people what I know, then the enemy knows. Hopefully they just hang on a little longer and keep the Sherry Grinders and Nutcase thing going so we can get our work done. But I'm already starting to feel the crunch on metal suppliers. My usual suppliers are no longer giving me metal shavings and stuff that I need. Really starting to feel the crunch lately. And so if some of you have metal suppliers, I even sent mail to a guy who sells shavings online to people making Oregon, and they came back to me, returned to sender. And so I sent him an email, and I said, okay, what's your mailing address? I got it off your website. I sent you a money order, and it came back, returned to sender. And he gave me the exact address that I had listed on my mail to him. And so even the post offices are getting involved, You start to feel the crunch, and they're on to stuff. And so we don't have too much more time. We've had 3 years now, and it's been a great run, with the Oregon. Lord's people all over the world, just putting this barrier up, and that's what it is. It's a barrier. Because what they're pounding us with the chemtrails, with iodine, we're putting ether